Hey guys, in this video we're still in 7.1, which is adding and subtracting polynomials, which is actually what we're going to be doing today. I know in the other video we talked about what a polynomial is, what a monomial is, binomial, trinomial, also what a constant is, a linear, quadratic, and cubic functions. But in this example we're just going to simply add two polynomials together. All right? In order to add, you just simply have to combine like terms. Now, how do you know when terms are alike? They have to have the same exponent. I know normally when you guys see two parentheses, you're tempted to multiply them together, right? But if you look closely, there is a addition sign in between those two parentheses, which means we're going to add and not multiply. So in reality, you don't really need the parentheses when it's addition in between them. So in my first step, I'm just going to rewrite that function, or the polynomials rather, without those parentheses. Now all I have to do is combine like terms. Now, in yesterday's example, we talked about standard form, which means putting your answer in order from the highest exponent to the lowest one, right? In this example, we're still going to do that. So the highest exponent I see are these 2's. Now, since there's two terms that both have an exponent of 2, they are what they call like terms. You can add them together. Since this x doesn't have a number in front, I'm going to write the number 1. So I can add these two together and say 1x squared plus 4x squared. That gives me a total of 5x squareds. The next highest exponent is this invisible 1 on this x. But notice I don't see another term that just has a regular x. So since there's nothing else I can add to this term, I'm just going to drop it down and say plus 2x. Okay? Now the last thing we need to do is add the two constant numbers together, which is 5 and 3. And I know 5 plus 3 will give me 8. So this is what you call standard form. If you look at your exponent, it goes 2, 1, and then this one has none because it has no variable. So that's standard form. And it's done. It's that easy. Now let's try the same thing in part B. First things first, I know there's two parentheses, which normally means to multiply, but there's an addition sign in between them. So in my first step, I'm actually going to drop those parentheses since we don't need them. I will say that those parentheses are important when it's subtraction instead, which will be in the next example. So plus 3x plus 7. So look for the highest exponent, because we still want to put our answer in standard form. In this case, your highest exponent is the number 2. Now, if you look closely, I don't see another term that has a 2 for an exponent. So since there's nothing to combine this one with, I'm just going to drop it down. Okay? Something that will come in very handy, especially when you have a lot of terms here, is cross them out when you're done with them so you know not to touch that one again. The next highest one is this invisible 1 on these x's. Now notice that there's 2 of them. That means we can combine them together, right? They're like terms. They're both positive, so if you add them, it's positive 5 plus 3. That's 8x to the first power. Remember, we don't write 1, so I'm not going to. And then the next highest one is the constant numbers, because they have an exponent of 0. But what happens when you add a negative 7 and a positive 7? Those two are called opposites, which means they actually give us an answer of 0, because negative 7 plus 7 is 0. Or you can say 7 minus 7 is 0. But we don't do this. We don't write plus 0. Instead, the book will just leave it as nothing there. Okay? So that's your answer for those. Sometimes terms do cancel each other out. And that's standard form because it goes 2 and then 1. All right, next one, part C. Same thing, there's an addition sign in between the two parentheses, so you don't really need the parentheses. So in my first step, I'm going to drop those parentheses. Plus 3x cubed minus 5x minus 6x squared. Now look for your highest exponent. In this case, I notice the highest one is a 3. Now, I don't see another 3. Do you guys? Since I don't see another one, that means you can simply just drop down this term. So it's a positive 3x cubed. So down here, I will write a positive 3x cubed. Cross it out since you're done with it. The next highest are these 2's. Now I notice that there's 2 of them, so we're going to combine them. You have a negative 6 and a positive 4. So what happens when you owe $6 to someone and you pay him back $4? So you owe 6, you pay back 4. That means you still owe 2x squared in this case, right? Cross them out since you're done with them so we know what's left. Your next highest one is this invisible 1, and now I see another 1 over here. So those two are like terms. That's a -5 and that's a +2. So if you were to combine them, just ask yourself what happens when you owe someone $5 and you pay them back $2. That means you still owe them 3 x's in this case, right? Cancel those out, you're done with them. Now the next thing you have left is a -3. Now I don't see another constant term, so just drop down the -3. So in general, if you just have one of something and there's not another thing to combine it with, you just drop it down. All right, let's try one more. Plus sign in between means you don't need the parentheses because you're not multiplying, so drop them. 3x squared plus 2x. And then you have plus a -x, which is the same thing as a -x. And then -9. All right? Start with your highest exponent first, which is this 2. I don't see another one, so that means we're just going to drop this thing down, keep it as 3x squared. The next highest one are these 1s. And I see 2 of them, so that means we can combine it. Now notice this x doesn't have a number in front of it. That means we can write a 1 there, right? Anytime there's no number, it's an automatic 1. So you have 2 take away 1, which is 1x, but we write x, because we don't write 1s in math, right? Unless they're a placeholder. So these 2 are now gone. The last thing left is this constant number, and I don't see another constant number to combine it with, so we're just going to drop that one down. And again, this is what you call standard form. It goes 2, 1, 0. So when you guys are adding, just make sure you put your answer in standard form, which means write it from the highest exponent to the lowest one. All right? In the next video, which is example 5, we're going to go ahead and subtract polynomials, which is a little bit more difficult, but not too bad. All right, see you guys in the next one.